And we're live. Hi, gentlemen, once again. How are you doing? Let's wait for a few minutes for everyone to join and then we can move on to the discussion. How are
Okay,
you?
fine.
Doing great. Thank you. Thank you, Ken. How are you?
I'm doing fine. We finally have summer after, I don't know, a year of winter. So I'm really, really happy to finally see the sun. How is it over there for you? Is it sunny?
Yeah, too sunny and too hot. This morning, I love cycling, so this very early in the morning, I put the sun on the sky, so
Mhm.
it was really so early, so, and it was really too hot. I don't know, 26, 27, yeah, degrees at 6 p.m. in the morning,
6 a.m. in the morning. Yeah.
6 a.m. Sorry, 6 a.m. in the
No
morning.
worries. No worries. And where are you? In which city are you right now, David?
I'm in Valencia, in Spain, in
Oh,
Valencia.
nice. Nice. I love Spain. Hablo un poquito de español.
Muy bien, podemos hacer el evento en español.
Sí, un
No,
poco.
great. Me
All
too.
right.
Me too.
Well, you should. That's great. Actually, before we start the conversation, I was just reading the news and I saw that Meta gave its AI chatbot real operation authority. So, like the Instagram accounts got hacked, and hackers didn't even need to like break it. They just asked Meta's AI support to get access to the accounts, and they got it because the since the operational authority with these chatbots do not have any mechanism to verify who was making the request or what was happening, so all of the accounts got hacked and I was like, wow, okay, it's good that we're having this webinar today because this conversation should really be happening
Yeah.
everywhere.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've also read about it, like how they just I saw the screens. They were just providing the
Mhm.
to change the email to the new email and providing the new email, and it was sending the verification code to the new email from the chatbot. And Meta said that they already fixed it, but after they claimed it, there has still been like breaches for the accounts for like 2 or 3 days more.
Yeah.
And when people were trying to restore the accounts, they were addressed by the same AI bot that was that was helping to hack them back.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. Previous week we had this issue with Mailchimp something, and we were like, we need a person to handle this issue and not the chatbot. And chatbots are getting out of hand, I believe.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
not only a person, you also have to put in place the right safe words to avoid these kind of situations, right? It's I don't know the intricacies of the design, but for sure this kind of situation comes from a bad design.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I believe since we've already started talking about related topic, we can welcome everyone here on our live webinar. And thank you everyone for joining. And today we're going to be discussing how to deeply connect AI into the core systems behind fintech. And I find this topic especially interesting because fintech is one of the harder industries to bring AI into, right? Because you're dealing with a lot of sensitive data, a lot of regulations. So it's really, really important to know how to do it right, and most importantly, how to do it safe. So and especially now with the situation on the market, we see a lot of quick feature ships, a lot of fast demos, and at the end of the day, we see that it's not really as simple as and as fast as we think. So that's exactly what we'll dig into today with our two speakers. David here is a fractional chief AI officer. He helps organizations scale AI in a way that doesn't create operational chaos, reputational exposure, or governance gaps. He's an international speaker and a PhD candidate in AI at UNED with more than 70,000 followers on LinkedIn. So we have our own celebrity here.
Well,
And Peter, he's strategic partnerships at Ralabs, and he has spent several years working at the intersection of technical and business decisions in fintech. First in AI-powered fraud detection at Scalar, and now with product and engineering teams at Ralabs on core banking modernization, embedded finance, and AI applications where the cost of a wrong call is high. And before I give you the floor, gentlemen, I wanted to say to our attendees that we have a kind of a small gift for our live guests on the webinar today, a 20-minute online consultation with David. And I will share more details on how to get that consultation by the end of the webinar. So Peter, David, the floor is yours. I will just be sitting here enjoying your interesting conversation.
Well, thanks so much for
Thank you, Peter.
inviting me here. It's really amazing to share the scene here with Peter. So I re-invite all the guests to join us in this amazing discussion. For sure, it's going to be very nurturing.
Thank you, David. Yeah, it's it's a very good timing that we are hosting this, and it's a very hot topic, taking into account the recent news. So yeah, basically for the starters, I've prepared some of the homework. I was reading about the McKinsey and Gartner reports, and what they're saying. This is basically the truth that nobody wants to hear, or afraid to hear as well. Is that 88% of organizations, and also in the fintech, of course, they want to have AI, or they try to use AI, but only 80%, but only 20% of them report a positive EBIT and ROI from that. So the thing is that the 60% of all AI projects that are unsupported with, let's say, the right data, with the right governance, with the right infrastructure, they are abandoned, and will be abandoned by the end of 2026. And it's more of the the vision of it. It's like the more of the business decision, more rather than a technical decision. Of course, it implements the technical side of the implementation of the AI, agentic AI as well. But as far as we see it at Ralabs, and I do believe that you also share it, it's more of the restructuring of the infrastructure of the company or organization that wants to have the AI. And especially what we hear from our clients or partners, and what we are working on recently, it's shrinking the usage of AI for them. So instead of developing, let's say, LLMs that that operates like an AI that's talk, we want to build for them, for our clients, the AI that executes, right? The agentic AI, specific for this, developed for the specific tasks, and fixing the issues, working on the tickets, giving the outputs, the results, of course, with the supervision of the human. But that's probably one of the things that that lots of companies are missing, is the getting ready to implement it, or to see the right vision of it, because lots of companies see the vision, the AI as a software, right? And I knew that you wrote about the AI implementation, that lots of CEOs and companies see the AI as buying a software, like buy and plug in, and it's gonna do its magic, sometime in a year, 2, 3, 5, but they expect it sooner or later. So what's your take on it? So buying in AI is not enough, just as it is. What, but as lots of companies are doing this, they are hit some problems. So what, from your intake, what's problems they're gonna hit when they do like this, and it gets to the real financial traffic workflows?
Well, I think that this appointment with AI, it's due to two main factors, right? First is lack of passions, right? CEOs want the ROI to come yesterday or the day before yesterday, and that is not going to happen for sure. I think that they tend to see the AI ROI in the wrong framing. AI is not coming alone. It comes with data. It comes also with API. If your data are not good quality, the results you get from your AI thing will be garbage, right? So or bad quality. or not the optimal ones, right? So in addition to that, your data in general, your data in your organizations are scattered all over the digital universe of your organization. So you need some kind of integrations that should be also good quality. So you have to put order first in your data strategy and also in your APIs or integrations strategy to be able to get the proper results from AI. So if you see the right framing, you will need to make previous work with data and integrations before starting with AI. AI is only the tip of the iceberg. So the right framing starts when you started at the starting point with APIs and data. That makes the ROI to be longer than expected. If you read the Harvard Business Review or other business publications, you will see that, hey, we got the ROI in 1 year. That's not true. Probably you got that short ROI because you are in that wrong framing. Tell the truth, please. Tell me when you started with your integration with your data. Then the ROI increases to 3, 4, 5 years, depending on the complexity. That's one point. The lack of passions, right, or the wrong framing. The other one is that in general, companies are asking the wrong questions. They mainly I would say that mainly 3 questions, right? First is they tend to start with tooling. Which tool do we need to use? That's not good. You need to start from the problem you have, and once you have analyzed your problem, once you have pristine clear which type of problem do you have, then you go to the solution, which is the tool. So you have to start not from the beginning, not from the end, right? The second question will be, how much time AI is going to save me? Okay, if you measure only AI only by the time it saves, which is only a part of the ROI, it's a wrong framing once again. Of course, AI will help you to increase your efficiency by time reduction. AI executes tasks in general if they are properly designed and blah blah blah. They execute the tasks faster than humans, so probably you will get some savings from here. But what happens with decisions, right? If you are taking the question, not it shouldn't be how much time I'm going to save, but what happens with the quality of my decisions? Because if you take the wrong decisions faster, then you have a failure there. So it has no sense, right? And then the third question is capability. Right? People tend to say, okay, what we can do with AI? But once again, it's the wrong question. The wrong question is what we can trust AI to do in a safe way, right? Take a look at what happened this morning with Meta. So I would say that the 2 factors that are, against the AI increase in adoption, they are slowing down the adoption, are the lack of patience or the wrong framing in ROI and asking the wrong questions.
Thank you. And let's say, for example, if they already hit some of those wrong questions and wrong topics, and they turn on the bad road, what would be the first thing to break in the architecture, like inside, when it hits the production? Like, what are the early signals of the bad decisions made, and how people can go back, and what's to fix first?
Well, I think that of course, one of the main things you have to do with AI is to be able to track your decisions, to control your decisions, to override your decisions. So to do that, one key points are monitoring and observability. Right? If you don't have this foundation, you cannot do that tracing or you cannot reconstruct the decision if some incident happens. So that should be mandatory in your organization. So what happens when you don't have that? Probably you won't be aware that you are taking a bad decision. I think that we tend to put the critical point in AI when the critical moment is not when the AI generates the output, right? Or the response is when AI takes the decision. When we shift from assistance to execution, right? That's the really critical point, executing actions. So we have to put the focus there. So everywhere or everything related with that execution is what we have to want the focus when designing the architecture. So in such a way that if you embed the governance in your architecture and not creating an additional or not doing governance post hoc, which is adding an additional and unnecessary complexity layer on top of your AI system once it is built, the better. I mean, you should to embed the governance in your architecture. Why? Because if you do like that, then meeting requirements as transparency, as ethics, responsibility, trustworthy, diversity, sustainability, all those requirements, non-functional requirements or functional sometimes, they'll be met by design, and that is not slowing down innovation. The others, better the other way. It's boosting innovation because you are meeting those important requirements only by design, just because they are there because your architecture has been really well designed.
Thank you. About the governance, I also read few days back about the Francis D'Souza, the CEO of Google. He said that it's very important to build their architecture about the on the governance. So basically, the governance should go first, and after that, you should build around it. And but the irony is that recently was a some kind of leak, let's say, in the Google Cloud projects. So, for example, if people were handling Google Cloud projects and they were using the Google Maps API, the Google Maps APIs are public, so lots of people can get access to it. And through that, through the Google Maps API, they could get the access to the Gemini API, so they could actually get to the Gemini cache information and the Gemini information from the company if they're using AI. So it was worth from 30 to 50 grand a day, if I'm not mistaken, for the users which are using the Google Cloud projects because of that unauthorized access. They said that if they fix it by giving the separate API key to the Gemini, but yeah, it's funny. They were talking about the governance, infrastructure, how you can build it, but they actually missed it. So yeah, thank you for sharing this. And about actually about the costs, I know that lots of people, when they're trying to build AI inside of the company, they are missing the budget. There are lots of things that they didn't take into the account. The what they think is, which model to choose, as you mentioned, and how much token they would like to get for the usage. But what's would be your advice? What's key points to take into account when you're budgeting for the AI implementation in the fintech, for example, for the 24 months? What cost would you should expect?
Well, of course, this it depends on the scenario. So it's very difficult to me to say something, right? But but my advice would be take a look at the hidden costs. So there are some obvious costs, which are tokens, API calls, and platform software. Everybody has the cost associated with the tool, but everybody tends to, or well, not everybody, but it's quite frequent to not to consider the hidden cost of human oversight, right? So if you in every task, generally speaking, every task has two parts, right? The execution part, which is okay, a task can be defined as a set of steps to do something, which is the algorithmic part of the task. And then you also have the reasoning part of the task, right? Which is more related with control. So tooling, no matter which tool you use, no matter how complicated it will be, tooling is related with the execution part, right? So the savings in time, I'm not going to say cost because it depends, but the savings, the more obvious savings comes from the execution part. But you cannot leave the AI thing working alone. You have to oversight that has a human resources cost, which is the people in charge of overseeing that work, and that has a cost. So you have to measure that, and then the cost of a task with AI, it's the addition of the tooling part and the human part, and then you have to balance if in this new situation it is profitable to you doing with AI or leaving as it is, or improve the task. Sometimes it's easy. I think it's much more important than knowing when to apply AI, knowing when not to apply it. Right? Sometimes AI is not the best solution. It's a good solution, but it's not the solution for everything. So you have to analyze the problem and then decide. Most of the times, just improving your process, really improving your processes is enough. And if you automate that, sometimes what you are doing is overcosting your tools, over designing your system, and that it has no sense because that creates a misalignment between your IT objectives and your business objectives.
Thank you. And what about the costs of governance in this case? I know that there's a growing market for the governance platforms, because some people saying that GRC platforms are not enough for the governance of the AI and AI implementation. And currently, the market is worth around like $500 million, and it is expected to be 1 billion by 2030. So, what about investing into the governance? Is it better and a safer choice to have a governance platform handling all of this, let's say real time 24/7, or is it better and more autonomous to build a governance platform yourself, like for the company separately, for the organization?
Okay, governance has a cost. It's true, but also creates value. It reduces your reputational, your operational harm, right? And also it's a value. So you have to balance as everything in companies, right? Putting in place a governance strategy. It doesn't necessarily involve that is expensive. So it depends on your risk appetite. So the risk appetite is how much risk an organization is willing to accept, right? So depending on that risk appetite, your governance I'm going to say structure, your governance thing, right? Better thing. Your governance thing could be more complex or less complex. You can be a big corp with a low risk appetite, so you are not working with too risky applications, that your uses of AI are really simple. Then your governance is going to be quite straightforward or even inexistent. Well, not inexistent, but will be very soft. Right? And you can be a micro company with a very high risk appetite because you are doing high risk use. For example, if you say high risk because you are screening CVs or people or whatever, you are not doing nothing forbidden, but you are assuming a high risk level. Then your governance whatever is going to be more complex. Complexity is tied to cost, so probably your governance will be more expensive than the big corp one. So I think that governance complexity it's directly proportional to your risk appetite and inversely proportional to your capacity as company to deliver that or to mitigate that risk. So it depends, governance does not necessarily means a super budget. No, it depends on your risk appetite. So the most important in governance is that it should keep the alignment with your business objective. It's about governance is about consistency and coherence all across your organization, right?
I will, Peter, I will ask 1 minute to ask a question. I was listening and very interesting discussion. And I was just thinking about, we're talking about this risks and responsibilities and governance to tie it back to fintech. What do you gentlemen think in fintech, who should be the one who's actually responsible on owning AI systems? Like who in fintech or organizations should actually own these AI systems? Who should be the responsible one for everything that we've just discussed?
Well, the obvious answer here is the CAIO, right? Why? Because the CAIO is able to talk with understands very well technology, so it can talk with the CTO. It also understands risk, so he or she can talk with the CRO. He also understands business, so he's able to talk with the CEO. She also understands about innovation, and so we can talk with the CIO, and also understands compliance regulations, so it can talk with legal. So the name of the position is doesn't matter. CAIO is now the new buzzword, so it doesn't matter the name, but the most important thing is that it should be an integrator, right? I mean, a cross-cutting concerns people being able to understand so many contexts without necessarily being a specialist in technology. For example, even in the case that AI it's a technology thing, right? But you are not going to manage the AI system, but you need to understand them. You need to understand what is changing. Our relation with the software has changed a lot. If you use the traditional, I'm going to say traditional software, although we also are using that. Our relation with traditional software is deterministic, so you can be sure that 2 + 2 is 4. No, there are no discussion on that. So you can automate decision because it's deterministic. But with AI, the landscape changes. Why? Because 2 + 2 is not 5. What is plus? You don't know. You cannot be sure what addition means. You cannot be sure what 2 is. You cannot be sure about the results. So you have to learn how to deal with uncertainty, because AI discriminates, AI hallucinates, AI leak data, and AI behaves in an unpredictable way. So that's why you need to change your mindset. So you have to be comfortable with uncertainty. That's why you need to be an integrator, because to deal with that uncertainty in a company, you need to collaborate from different departments. So the manager of the AI asset should be someone able to talk with everything. It should be. I like to say that it should be an ecosystem builder.
Sure. That makes total sense. And it's very interesting how all of the conversations that we have, or I read or watch about AI, comes down to people understanding what AI actually is and like most of the problems and issues that we're facing right now will be solved when the mindset is changed and we understand that this is what actually we're dealing with. Thank you so much for the answer, Peter. The floor is yours once again, and I just want to encourage our attendees, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave comments, and we will have a Q&A session right at the end of the webinar.
Thank you, David. Yeah, it was. It's really something, especially when you're talking about the like it should talk with everyone. So when we are talking, for example, about the fintech company, let's say there are lots of people and managers who are using AI, to automate their workflows, speed up the process, rather than it's an agentic AI. But some people in those companies might be, let's say, not the victims, but the users of a shadow AI. So basically, bringing the consumer AI to the workflows. Yeah, we all know that it happens. It might happen, and it might have, and it also may lead to some of the data leaks, data breaches, and which is specifically a big problem for the fintech, because it may leak the proprietary financial data of the clients and customers. Do you think it's more of the governance gap, David, or it's about the people that are being not, taught to use the AI correctly, or they're not having the right tools?
No, I think that well, as I mentioned, we are doing the wrong question. So the question now is not what AI is able to do, but what we can trust AI to do in a responsible, safe way. That creates a trust gap between capability and trustworthy, and the way of filling that gap is AI governance. But when you are deploying an AI governance strategy in an organization, you have to keep the coherence with yourself, which is you cannot ask people to do something with AI if they don't have enough tooling to do that. That's why shadow AI exists. If governance is not about using rules, creating policies and documentation that goes nowhere. Governance is a process, and governance is not only technical. Governance is also about compliance, but not compliance just passing a checklist and that's all to get the blah 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 certification. That's not the idea. Governance is a process. It's a living process. Trust is not static. Trust is dynamic, right? The same way with people. So governance has to deal with literacy. So tools. If nobody knows to how to use the tools you are deploying, those tools are useless. So literacy is more important than ever. Then also compliance. You have to do that use of tools in a safe way for people. So you have to meet regulation requirements, and also of course technology. If you don't provide that legs or that components, that foundations of the AI governance in a coherent and consistent way in your organization, your AI governance will fail, and probably what you will get is shadow AI. And shadow AI means multiplying by infinite your reputation or your potential regulation harm, because you are playing with more risk that you officially choose.
Okay. Thank you, David. Yeah. So building the governance is actually big and long process, and that's what reminded me that at the beginning of the of our webinar, you mentioned that lots of people and companies, organizations that are stating that they are having positive ROIs very quickly, like in a year. It's a lie, and they've built and they started to building it 4, 3, 5 years ago. So, what do you think? What were their first steps? Was it like building the governance, preparing for the transformation, preparing the data into in the fintech sphere, formalizing the documents, or what was the first one?
I think that the first step is to to be sure that you really need something, right? So you have to identify your problem, and that's the first step. You need to be aware of where are you and where you want to arrive. If you don't know that to point, it's very difficult to have a path, right? So that's the first time. I think I know that it seems obvious, but it's really not so obvious in most of the companies. Some companies are completely lost in that part, right? They are very good in business, but when applying technology to business, that's another different scenario, right? So first step is I think is to start building everything from scratch at the same time, but not you cannot go you cannot go from the sofa to a marathon in one step, right? Long distance, and this is a long distance race, needs time and needs preparation and needs training. So nobody thinks on, okay, I'm going to run a marathon. Okay, I come back, I'm going to run a marathon. That don't happen. You need training, right? So here is the same. You need to prepare yourself, and running is not only running. Running is it's also going to the gym to strengthen your body. It's also doing yoga to keep your flexibility and protect your body. So here is the same. You cannot embrace AI only by embracing AI. You have APIs, you have data, but you don't need to wait until everything is okay to start doing AI. So what you have to do is to identify your use cases, to prioritize your use cases depending. And for example, you can use the value to the business, the complexity, the time to market, and many other criteria that can be useful in your case to prioritize them, and then start building them. And then start, of course, my advice is to start with the simpler ones because it's easy to build the governance. Probably the data and the integrations involved in that use case will be also more simpler. So you can start growing everything in an iterative way. So that's always my advice. You don't need to start from 0 to 1. You cannot do it. It's better if you don't do it. Start simple and keep it simple all the way long, right? You can increase the complexity of your business and your business cases and on your use cases. Of course, technology involved will be more complex, but you can to keep all processes as much simpler as possible.
Yeah, and it's also, kind of sad to hear like lots of like, let's say that this top 20 or 10 companies that gets the ROI fast after 3 4 years. They usually go public and saying like it was like a half a year they have positive ROI 3 or 400%, and lots of companies and organizations trying to keep the pace with it and trying to race to get it faster. And that's why we have this gap when the 80% of all of the AI initiatives started by the organizations are failing because they don't know how to do that. They are not prepared. They are not having the right people to do so. And the approach is go big or go nothing is usually winning, but it's hard to do so.
Yeah,
when you mentioned,
buying tools, it's easy. Yeah, but building capacity in your company takes much more time, and you need patience, right? Because what you have to do at the end is build trust in your customers, build trust in all your stakeholders, internal and external, especially in your customers, and that takes time. You cannot change everything from one day to another. That's the easy part. You can buy technology without any strategy to replace everything, very quick, but you are not building that capacity, that capability in your company. You are just putting all the focus on the IT part, but what happens with people and what happens with your processes. You have to make everything grow the same time.
And when you mentioned about starting with small, let's say in the fintech sphere, when we are starting, when we're talking about it, when we are trying to shrink it to something smaller. So are we talking about some, let's say, automating of the one workflow like document or report generating, or let's say creating the specific large language model to work with the documents, or what would be your advice? What's the first thing to start? Is it like to automate with the AI the workflows, or use it as a handler of specific tasks, like as an executor for the tickets?
You can automate things. The problem is not that. The problem is that you need to be aware that AI systems are not deterministic. So they hallucinate, they discriminate, they leak data, and they behave in a strange way, as I mentioned before. So if you do like that, everything will be okay. Why? Because you will be updating your risk assessment, your ethical assessment. You will be updating your data when training your system. It's not a tooling problem. It's a system problem, and you have to look at AI systems in a different way. They are not models. They are pipelines. So you have to take a look at the input, which what are you allowing in your system, at the data, what you rely on, at the output, what are you delivering, and at the actions, what are you executing, right? So you have to see that way. If you understand that, then you can automate. Well, automate, if it makes sense, you can automate everything, but you have to understand which are the risk and the mitigation you have to put in place in order to control that risk in a consistent and coherent way. Governance is about that.
Yeah, that
Thank you,
makes
David.
total sense. What I wanted to say to kind of wrap up the conversation as well, in after all of the AI discussions, there's this pessimistic wave, oh my God, I did something wrong. I wish I knew that sooner. And I'm pretty sure there will be some CDOs and people watching us who might be just right now realizing that they have accidentally built a superficial wrapper that is fragile, and they might be, thinking about what to do next. So I'm asking you, what would be the honest next step in that kind of situation? What would be the advice that you would give to these people who are already in the process and realizing that they might have done something wrong?
Well, first step would be, my first advice is to be critic with every result got from AI. That would be the first. Because AI hallucinates. A hallucination means a response that seems to be right, but it isn't. So you cannot trust blindly in AI. You have to challenge the results got from AI. That one part. And if you are talking about agentic AI, you cannot leave an AI agent playing alone and giving all the permissions possible. You have to put the proper human oversight, human on the loop, human in the loop, right?
Mhm.
And putting also the right guardrails to avoid these unwanted situations.
Makes total sense. Peter, do you maybe have any advice, or should we just wrap the whole thing up?
Yeah, I totally agree with David. With David, and yeah, once you see that something goes wrong, it's better to stop and do the retrospective, go back, to not make it worse. But you would it's gonna be a delay. It's gonna be some let's say financial failure, but it isn't actually, because once you have this time to have a retrospective analysis on what was done, what was actually the problem, and starting from that, as David mentioned, to starting from the problem and looking for the solution, how to get it done. This is the best way possible. If you are not sure how to do this, you can also find the consultants, find the people who can do this for you, and they can help you doing this. You don't have to be the expert in anything, and if you don't not sure if you're building this right or doing this wrong, you can always ask for help. Look for someone who knows how to do this. I have an example. Actually, in my car, the infotainment system, something broke down. I was trying to fix it, and I just made it worse. And I was like, no, I'm bringing it to the repair shop. although I'm pretty proficient with it with tech, I love like working with laptops, computers, PC, all that stuff. But I made it worse. So now I have to go to the repair shop. But if at the beginning I notice that there is a problem, and there's something that I can do worse, and I took it to the repair shop, it would be less headache for me and less money spent in the end. Although from the beginning, for me, it was looking like a financial pitfall.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I would say the same. Thankfully, we already have people who have done it right and who are willing to share their knowledge and expertise. So I would also encourage everyone who needs help or even a consultation, or I don't know, if you're not sure whether what you've built is a wrapper, you have people right here who can help you in one conversation. And that brings me to our gift that I mentioned in the beginning of the webinar. We will be giving away one 20-minute consultation session with David. And for that, all you guys need to do is to just send your project information to our email address, which I just shared in the comments. It's business@ralabs.org. After that, we will be reviewing the details, choosing one lucky person, and then making sure that we connect you with David. And other than that, as we've just covered, if you have any inquiries, any questions, feel free to reach out to us via email, LinkedIn, and we will be more than happy to assist. I will be thanking you, gentlemen, for this very, very interesting and timely conversation. And thank you, everyone, for attending. This live recording will be on our YouTube channel, so feel free to save it for later, share it, etc., etc., etc. So thank you once again, Peter. Thank you, David, and have a nice evening ahead.
You too.
Likewise. Thank you, Keto. Thank you, David, for your time. It was a great pleasure. Let's do this again sometime.
Same
Sure.
here. Yeah, we will repeat
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.